Hey everybody, Tom here with Hidden Beats, and today we're talking with Eric from The Moon and I. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Pretty good. We're here a bit to learn more about your music and about kind of just what you do in the world. But for those who are new, can you give a little intro about yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name's Eric. I make music under the name The Moon and I. I'm based in Montreal. I'm a solo singer, songwriter, producer. I make music that's kind of like moody, ethereal, introspective. A lot of it is piano based at first because I'm classically trained. Then I embellish it with a lot of synths and glitchy beats and percussions. I think a lot of people compare the music to like James Blake, Radiohead, Billie Eilish, like
Okay.
reflective, nostalgic, moody.
Mm-hmm. So how did you kind of get this music?
I mean, I was kind of brought into it since I was 5 or 6 years old. I was learning classical piano, and then as I got older and older, I got more interested into pop music and how more immediately satisfying pop music is around
Mm-hmm.
like maybe my teenage years. So I started learning more about like the Beatles was entry point. And then I kind of followed along their progression as they got more experimental, and that influenced my kind of music production. And so eventually, fast forward a bunch of years, and I released my first music on Spotify in 2020. After having like accumulated all this music that I've been writing in my bedroom.
Mm-hmm. How did the name come about? The Moon and I. How did you come up with that?
So that name was based off of a song called Moon Eye, which I had released. I kind of put it on Bandcamp 10 years ago, kind of just testing out the platform, and it kind of went viral by accident. A bunch of blogs at the time posted about it, writing articles about it, and that was a big shock to me. So that was like a good indication for me, like, oh, there's like a future here where people, strangers on Interweb, are connecting to my music, willing to reshare it. So I kind of took upon that name, Moon Eye, the Moon and I, and that's also marked a change of direction in sound too, which used more synths and electronics. So that's kind of where the name came about.
Do you remember like for album that you might have picked up that kind of wowed you in the magical musical world?
Uh, I think it started with Coldplay, like learning clocks on the piano. It
Okay.
was because before that I was, playing classical music, so I never played pop music on the piano that was written for like piano. So that was just the different way of like seeing things, and it was so easy to play, and playing for friends, people really like loved it. So it was a nice way to kind of like get that immediate feedback. And so I learned a lot of their songs. I also learned a lot of the White Stripes was a big influence as well. Being a two-piece band and how they were very like they simplify everything. It's just like three chords, storytelling. That influence a lot of the songwriting that I make to kind of
Hmm.
have like a stress test myself where I write a song, and if I can cover my own song acoustically and it still sounds good, then it's probably a good song because like the core essential is there.
Okay.
Um, so I think growing up, main influences were like Coldplay, the Beatles, White Stripes, and then later on I discovered Radiohead and that opened up a whole new world of like electronic experimentation and alternative music, and that's been my main influence since.
Yeah, I mean Radiohead, I got to see the Smile, it's kind of parts of Radiohead this past year at Blues
Wow.
Fest. And it was very interesting just watching how they build their sound and how they put everything together, and very interesting for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting now that they're only like the Smile's only three people. It's a three-piece band, and seeing how they kind of work together to create,
Hmm.
still like a big cinematic landscape of sound.
Yeah, it was I've never experienced that myself live, so watching that coming on the big stage, it was really interesting.
Yeah, and they come up with a new album next in January.
Oh, okay. I haven't even seen that. I probably in my email releases somewhere. I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have a new single out that one of the reasons we're here talking today, Ocean Heart, I believe, is what I have written down.
Mhm.
Can you tell me
Yep.
the story behind that one?
Yeah, Ocean Heart started probably like 10 years ago. I was kind of like just jamming on the piano, and the first line came out while I was jamming. It was "Your heart is deeper than ocean." and then the chords came about. At the time, I was listening to a lot of James Blake, so I was trying to emulate a lot of what he was doing.
Hmm.
Um, and then I had the melody, I had the chords, I had the chorus, but I didn't have the lyrics or a theme to the song. So I kind of put it aside for a long time. And then years later, um, I was trying to figure out, I was trying a bunch of different things, like making it into a rock song, a jazz song, and I was kind of stuck. I had the core, and eventually I reached out to a producer I had met, Hypnotic Beats, who helped bring glitchy production and beats to it, and that helped tie the song together. And so eventually, yeah, that song came out. And with this song, I was lucky enough to get a funding for to make a music video through Prison Prize's MVP project, which is like a grant for emerging musicians and filmmakers. So I applied to the grant with director Karin Dashny and executive producer Jordan Lavery. We got the grant and got the opportunity to make a big music video um, that's like about a couple, well, kind of reflects that song as well, which is like a relationship falling apart through and through like these fever dream landscape scenarios.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we're good.
That was weird. It just stopped working on my system for some reason. Anyways, well, the prison prize was actually my next talking point, and then kind of how that helped you progress with the single and everything. But I think we touched base on that now.
Yeah, the Prison Prize thing was it's the MVP project grant from the Prison Prize,
Hmm.
um, and it's the first time I've been able to get like a decent budget, a big budget to make a music video, and the experience was amazing. I was lucky to work with a lot of supportive, talented people, and it's so odd, you know, you make this song in your basement alone, and now you have a crew of 12, 13 people helping you produce this vision. People are dedicating their time to it. So that was very touching.
Hmm.
Um, and the video itself, we shot over 3 nights, most of it 3 nights. We rented like a cottage up north, away from Montreal, 2 hours away, and we really took advantage of the scenery there. So we shot a lot of stuff on the beach, by the water, on the sand, and the forest. And the video itself tells a story of like a couple whose relationship is falling apart, but there's like these two layers. There's the first layer where we see their story. There's this beautiful shot of one shot, single take of the couple moving to the apartment, and it time lapses through the relationship. So they're setting up the apartment. You see them having these joyous, early beginnings. You see them arguing, and you see them slowly falling apart. It's all done in this one single shot. So there's that one layer of the story, and then there's a second layer where it's more abstract, like a fever dream, where we have the woman played by Zosha Feketa, who's um, expressing the woman's inner turmoil through dance sequences and abstract dreamlike scenarios. So there's like a sequence where she's like floating in space and darkness, where she's dancing on the beach, in the forest, being chased at night. So there's like these two layers that makes this very beautiful music video.
How involved are you in putting together that story when you're looking at a music video perspective?
We had like an initial meeting where I kind of talked to Karin, the director, about like the inspirations behind the song, some of the ideas I had, and then from there she built this new story that's based off of that, inspired by that story. And so it's a very collaborative effort where the final video kind of reflects both of our ideas, but it's really like her vision and her take on the song.
Okay. Now, how do you think your music has evolved from earlier releases to coming into a bigger production and larger scale song in this one?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think a lot of it is having higher standards for myself now that there's so many people involved to make sure that the quality is even better and better and better.
Hmm.
Um, and because you kind of release music at first, you're like, this is good enough for me, or I think this is pretty good, and then other people like it, and then there's so much that happens after from the music. So now there's like more pressure to I feel like to deliver better, even higher quality, get better and better.
Hmm.
So a lot of it is like, yeah, learning new skills, learning how to produce better, learning, discovering new sounds, listening to a lot of music. learning how to collaborate with other people, being one-on-one in a room with someone else, and being very open to new ideas, trying out everything. So I think a lot of it is kind of like um, being more open, being more collaborative, but also try not to lose your voice as well. When there's so many people in the room now, you still have to be true to yourself. And it's kind of like trying to expand your sound, but also not lose the essential component of what you do.
Yeah, I guess there's kind of a real pull and tug type of situation where you have to try to fit a whole bunch of niches at that point.
Yeah, it's a lot of it too. It's like there's that commercial viability aspects, but I try to ignore that. I try to just kind of like make the song first, make it to my vision, and then we'll see what happens commercially, or if there's like radio opportunities or whatnot. But really try to stay true to your vision first, and try to make the best product that you can to have something that's resonant to you and people that you want to attract, people that would be attracted to your music for you, and not for like you're not trying to be someone else, basically.
And I interview a lot of people and I hear that sentiment a lot now, actually. Try to do something that you feel good about, and somebody's going to come to you instead of trying to drag people to you.
Yeah, because ultimately, like you're spending so much time and energy on something, you want to reflect who you are, right? If you're attracting the wrong people, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. At the end of the day, you're not going to feel very satisfied.
hmm Now, with all that being said and being very complicated in some aspects, how do you stay grounded outside of music?
That's a good question. I don't know if I'm staying that grounded. I think maybe meditation is something I use a lot.
Okay.
Uh, some time in the morning to meditate, maybe like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It does a lot of does a big difference to just calm the
hmm
mind, let the voices kind of like all the things you have in your head kind of settle down. It's kind of like having like a glass of water that's very muddy and sandy. If you
Yeah.
keep agitating, it, maybe it stay muddy, but if you just let it sit, it will naturally just all the mud will sink to the bottom. You have clear water again.
hmm
That's kind of like my process. Let's sit still for a while, let all the things you're worrying about, the things you want to do, kind of settle, and then have that clarity again, and then go about your day. That's one tool that helps me a lot stay grounded. Talking to friends, other friends who are in the music world, friends who I really respect their thoughts and opinions and values. They help me stay grounded a lot.
Yeah, I need to do some of that meditation myself because my water's always cloudy. There's always something going on.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't know. Do you meditate or do you?
I don't. I think I have like ADD or something like that where I can't sit still sometimes and I need to be doing something. It's kind of just this weird thing where if I'm not working on something, I feel like I'm missing out on something. Like there's something I should be doing.
Yeah, I feel that like the pressure to do something all the time to be productive, right? To put every second of the day with something.
Yeah, and it's not even necessarily like work. So like Hidden Beats is a corporation. Like I have 25 people that work for me and we do a lot of different things, but I also have a 1-year-old. So trying to figure out
Oh,
trying to keep her active and and then I'm my wife, we want to go have a date. Like there's always something. I can't relax usually. I'm usually my relax time is in between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. in the morning.
okay.
That's everyone's asleep, but I have that time to myself finally, and that's the only time where I really get to sit down. But a lot of the time, I'm still working on something usually.
Right. Yeah, everyone's different. Everyone processes things differently.
hmm
Whatever, works for you.
Yeah, I mean, I do like so I like doing things like this too because I get introduced to new music. So I usually like make a playlist of everyone I interview and like the singles that we're looking at, and then I can go through later on and listen to people and kind of connect that way a little bit more too.
Oh yeah, I love that. So yeah, it's always nice discovering new music and it's every time you listen to someone's sound, it's like they're a whole new world, basically. It's like how do they see the world and their perspective on things. And that
And that's why it's nice to talk to someone like you because now I've listened to your song and now I'm kind of seeing what makes you tick and then oh, okay, maybe he thought this and it adds a different layer to the music in general for sure.
yeah, I love that.
hmm So you said you talk to other musician friends and stuff like that. Is there people that you're listening to right now that you think more people should be listening to?
Right now, I just discovered Saya Gray or Saya Gray. She's a musician based in Toronto. She's also I found her through like the Prison Prize list of recipients.
Okay.
So I've been going through her discography right now, and it's yeah, it's amazing. It's very it's like a collage of sounds. Every song is like different. It changes. It's very dynamic. It doesn't follow the usual pop structure, and it's very alternative. I'd say.
No, that's and I always you have different views on the music you like, so it's interesting for me that way too. Because now I'll go look up the playlists and stuff like that and see what makes that person tick, and you never know, throw an interview their way.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have a? I always ask this question to everybody because I think it's really interesting. Do you have a guilty pleasure song that's on your playlist? Someone might know that you listen to?
Uh, I listen to a lot of Drake.
Okay.
At the gym, I listen to the Rocky theme song to
Oh yeah.
get
Okay.
pumped.
That's definitely a good
uh,
one. It gives you that energy for sure.
yeah, you pretend you're in a montage and you're training. You're gonna get super fit.
Yeah.
After that 30 minutes, you're gonna be like, yeah, I'm ready to fight.
It works too because I've used that same thing where you're just doing something
Oh,
and
you
in the
do?
background you're kind of just okay, we're going.
Okay, good. That's so it's not just me.
That's a clock. You have to almost have that one if you want that that flow of energy to keep you going. That just does it for you.
Yeah, yeah, it's super effective.
I have
Yeah,
I have a German composer that I've been listening to recently, and he made this kind of pop ballady version of an orchestral track with like a bit of Beethoven thrown in there. It's kind of all over the place, and that's been my weird one that I've been listening to recently.
so it's like a soundtrack with like Beethoven spliced in and like beats and stuff, or
Well, so he's more of a an operatic style singer, and
oh,
then he brings in some pop elements, and then he adds like the feel of the classical composer behind it, and it has a very big depth and voice to it, really.
oh, I'd love to listen to that. After, can you send me the link?
Yeah, I'll write that down here to send that over.
And that's your one of your songs for at the gym, or
I wish I had time for the gym, to be honest. I don't even have time to do that, but it's one that I listen to because it has a good energy feel to it. So if I'm going for a drive somewhere, I might put that on and I'll belt out the lyrics with it and just kind of get that extra pump to it. And I like sure. And I found that one weirdly. So I'm connected with a an application called Groover, which you can send music to get um kind of reviewed by people. So this person sent me this track and I listened to it and I went, holy hell, that's amazing.
oh, right, cool.
Yeah, it's just a random one. I had no idea where it was from or anything like that.
It's so nice now that we can discover music randomly. A song could be like 10 years old and we can rediscover it, listen to it, and fall in love with it. And
Hmm.
it's a timeless aspect of music now. Whereas before, it's kind of like, you had like your window of opportunity to make a song reach the market. Now you can songs are going viral like 20 years later on TikTok.
Yeah, and it's fun too because if you add the live aspect of music into things. So before doing interviews, like I'm a photographer, so I actually go out and cover live events and concerts and things like that. And then during COVID, I started doing interviews, so kind of had a transition period that way. But now I'm back to doing both, and I get to hear and see all kinds of different things and see people live and just that extra. Like I'm going to Kiss tonight and covering that concert, and that's one of
Oh,
those
sweet.
ones that's been like they've been around forever, and it's like the end of the world tour or whatever they're doing.
Mhm.
So it's
Are
interesting because you get to see all kinds of different aspects and different ways of doing things now.
Yeah, so you see like the way artists present themselves, and then sometimes you can interview them and see like behind the scenes and see how they tick, right?
Because now that I'm talking to you, I'd be interested in seeing what one of your live shows would be like. If you had a
Mhm.
full stage setup and how you position everything, I think that would be very interesting to add that full roundabout depth to you as a musician.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm working on right now is kind of assembling that live act. And trying to figure out like how to translate all these songs where I had like unlimited possibilities in the studio and how to like translate into a live setting. It's something
Hmm.
I'm currently working on.
Well, I'd be if ever something like that comes up, I'd definitely be interested to check it out and see how you do with that.
Definitely, yeah, I appreciate that.
Hmm. So I do have a couple fun questions I'd like to ask everybody, especially on a first time interview. And it kind of gets a
Yeah.
little more interesting because it makes you think a little bit. So my favorite one I've ever asked anyone, what is one thing you think should be asked more in an interview that's not asked enough?
Oh, geez. What a question in my one of my first interviews.
So I look at
Uh,
it too in the sense of if it's something, if you like to watch, but yeah, so we were talking about an interview question, and like I was saying that something that you might want to learn more about when you're watching an interview, or vice versa, something you might want more people to know about you.
uh, I was thinking like a question, maybe like what would you like to have plastered on a giant billboard? If you could have one thing, a quote or something on a giant billboard, what would it be? What would be like your mantra or something you want to get out in the world?
That's good. I like that. What would yours be?
Uh, I can't remember where I read this, but it's basically along the lines of like, just because you think it doesn't mean it's true. So just to, again, with like the being like mindfulness and everything, is kind of like you have all these thoughts, you're thinking these things, but it's just a narrative you're telling yourself. It could easily be a different narrative that you tell yourself.
What about now?
Yep, hear you.
I just ditched the interface completely because I don't know what's going on with it. Move that out of the way.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I like to have technical issues. I guess this happens to me every so often. So, so we left off with the billboard thing. What would your billboard be?
Yeah, I think I took it from, can't remember where I read this, but someone suggested just because you think it doesn't mean it's true.
Okay.
So you know, we have all these narratives we tell ourselves. Sometimes we have a critical voice, self-doubt, our inner voices. And just because we think them doesn't mean it's necessarily true.
Hmm.
So kind of like just a reminder to, take a step back, look at things objectively, try not to be too critical and evaluate your thoughts, make sure, it's not always necessarily true.
Yeah, no, that makes good sense, and especially the social media world we live in, you hear so much from so many people. Like it can get pretty crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Every day nowadays, anyone can write anything, say anything, and be amplified. And the algorithm favors, controversial uh, thoughts and posts. So
Hmm.
a lot of negativity out there in the world right now.
Yeah. Another fun question for you is who plays you in the movie of your life?
Oh man. Uh, what's his name? Maybe Stephen Young, the guy
Okay,
from
I
The
can
Walking
actually
Dead.
see that.
Yeah, he's a good looking
Yeah.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have some similarities too. So that actually, yeah, I can see that for sure.
He has range. He can do it. He can play a shy kind of introspective dude.
But do you think he could do justice in the music world though?
I saw yeah, I saw him in Beef, and he sings really well in that TV show.
Oh, I haven't even watched that yet. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay. Check that out. I got my little notebook here, so I'm writing all these notes in.
Yeah. Do you have his email? You can send it out to him and pitch it.
I'll look for it. I can probably find it to be honest.
Nice.
Yeah. Um, more important question about the music is what do you hope fans take away from you and your music?
I think a lot of artists say this, but it's mainly to be seen, be heard. When you hear a song that reflects what you're feeling, what you're going through, and you're like, oh yeah, someone's voicing, the exact thing I'm feeling, the exact thing I'm thinking about, and
Hmm.
that creates that. It's resonant, and it creates that link, and it makes you feel less alone in the world because we're going through all this, this same wild human experience, trying to make sense of things. So when you see another human being articulating, giving shape and form to an idea, to a feeling that you're feeling, you feel connected. So I guess yeah, that's one main thing is to help people feel connected to the music and feel seen.
No, I think that's a pretty good one, and everyone desires to have some sort of connection, so that makes sense for sure.
Mhm.
I just hear banging upstairs. I'm sure my kid's just throwing stuff right now. But we're almost done anyways. I only have one more important question. What motivates
Yeah.
you to keep going in the music world?
Uh, I think it's not having regrets. It's where we have our own mortality. We're here for who knows how long. If you have the privilege and the opportunities to pursue the things you want to pursue, now's the time to do it. It took me a long time to come to this realization.
Hmm.
So for me, it's just like I'm here, I'm healthy, I have the resources right now to make music. So I'm not gonna let the opportunity fall, and keep going until I can't anymore, basically. I think it's yeah, it's just a way to express myself, and I feel happy doing it.
That makes sense. I mean, if you're not happy, then why would you do it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of unhappy times too. It's tough to making music, but alone in
Yeah,
the
I mean, there's
basement there.
definitely ups and downs, but your outcome and your final goal is to be happy with your product. I mean, the if you're not happy with doing that itself, like I said, why would you keep doing it?
Yeah, exactly. It's rewarding. Like the process is, challenging at times, but the final product and seeing connect with people, that's extremely rewarding and something that money can't buy.
Yeah, that's right. That's all the notes I have written down here. Is there any final tidbits and words of wisdom you might want to leave to people?
Maybe just check out the single Ocean Heart's part of an album, which was released in September. So there's an EP out, 7 songs. Check that out if you can. It's everywhere. Uh, and tidbits of wisdom. Stay hydrated, sleep
Yeah.
8 hours a day, exercise, eat healthy, and you'll be good.
Hey, those are good ones too. Everyone needs to hear that sometimes. Where can people find you on social media?
I'm mainly active on Instagram. It's Moon Eye Music. Facebook as well is also Moon Eye Music. TikTok is the Moon and I. Or you can find me on mooneyemusic.com and you can find all the links there.
Okay. I'll make sure to link that in so people can follow you and make sure to keep up with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was nice getting to meet you and learn more about you and your music, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do in the future.
Thank you so much, Tom. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, whenever you have more stuff, by all means, send it my way. I'm sure we'll have another conversation at some point.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It means a lot.
All right, you enjoy the rest of your day now.